Friends, welcome to my video. In this video, we'll see how to do Firebase authentication for your Flutter app. So as a first step, we'll create a Flutter app in your Android Studio. Just go here, click next, give any name, say for example, Firebase auth Flutter. You can give any name and click create and wait for the environment to load. Once the environment loads, this is the default app which they will give, and if you run it in any browser or any device, it will be an incremental app which they have provided. So first step, I'll do a quick cleanup and of all this and make it a much more shorter version of this app. So let me do that. Give me a moment. So I've done a cleanup, removed unwanted methods, and just made it much more cleaner by removing the comments. And now if I run it again, it still works fine. So I've left the basic functionality as it is, because now we'll jump to the Firebase side. Okay. So for Firebase, first log into your Firebase account, console.firebase.google.com, and if there is no projects created, create a project by clicking on this button. However, I'll be using one of the previously created projects. So I'll just go into this, and then we'll go follow the steps by one. So over here, say for example, add app, this particular option. So here they'll give you options of adding which particular platform we want to choose. Say for example, iOS or Android, and web app, and Unity, and Flutter. Flutter is the last one, so we can just select Flutter and then follow the steps from here one by one. So in this, we will follow the steps given over here. So say for example, we have to install the Firebase CLI. So just go here and follow the steps whatever they recommended here. Okay, so I'll not show these details in this, but it's very much straightforward. Either you can use npm command if your Node.js is installed in your environment. Otherwise, you can use the standalone library as well. Similarly, you should make sure that your Flutter SDK is installed. I think I can't even load the Flutter app in my Android Studio if Flutter SDK was not installed. Okay, so once these prerequisites are done, and then you can create a Flutter project using Flutter create. But I think we have anyway done it in Android Studio, so we can just skip this step. Okay, so in next, then it says from any directory run this command. So just copy this command, and we can use our Android Studio itself and go to this terminal over here, and then we can run that command. So whatever they have given, just copy, paste, and just enter. It will take a few moments to download whatever the required packages are there required, and then it will do it. Then again, let's go back to this steps, and then the next is at the root of your Flutter project directory, run this particular command. So again, copy this and go back here and paste it and run it. So we are in the root over here because it's my root where I am running this particular Flutter project. Again, it will, I think, fetching Firebase projects and all, it will take a moment, and I think as a consequence or as a part of this particular command, it will register a particular file in this folder. So I'll just show you that folder. If you expand this lib folder, I'm expecting a file to get created by this particular name, which is basically Firebase Options.dart. So let's wait for a moment to this to get completed. It may take a moment for this to appear. Okay, so it took a moment, but now it has come, and it is asking me to follow the instructions over here. So found 5 Firebase projects, selecting this one. Okay, so this is what we have anyway given it as a command, so that's fine. And then which platform should you consider? So you can use arrow keys and select or deselect. Say for example, if I want to deselect iOS, I just press spacebar, but I will just leave it as it is, the default one, and press enter. And then as the next step, what is asking, which Android application ID package do you want to use for this configuration? So over here, don't leave it blank. In verses, at least give this particular name itself. But what I'll do is I will go here and copy my file name, and instead of app at the end, I will just use my app name. Okay, so click enter, and it will register this particular app in my project. So again, it will take a moment. Let's wait. So it's registered. Now it's fetching. Okay, so again, it's still going on for the rest of the process. It will do on its own everything. So we will just wait over here and do nothing. Perfect. So once done, for all the platforms, it's registered one by one. It will give you some ID and all, so you can ignore it. And this particular file got added as I told, but it's giving some error because I think this particular code.dart is not able to find the library. So what we can do to resolve this is we can just quickly go to public.yaml file, and within a dependency in align with Flutter, just add this Firebase code because that's what I think is giving an error, and then just to propagate and wait for it to get the required libraries. However, here I can see some error, but I think we can ignore it. It's just because we are getting some kind of like outdated libraries. Even you can then run this pub outdated and it will take care of that. Okay, so I think everything looks good now. It's execute 0, and if I go back quickly to the this one, so yeah, this no looks good, there is no error, and get dependency, I think we can click it, but that's not really required. Okay, so we are done with this part. Now let's move to the next step, and over here just click next. I know it's saying initialize the Firebase and add plugin, so we can do all these things. So just copy this code and we'll add it in our main.dart file. And if I go here, I think I can minimize on the left side. Let me minimize this part. So here I think I can add all these things, and this await part will of course come. I can remove this in any of the methods. Okay, so for now I'm putting it in main, but later on I'll change it to somewhere else. And since await is used here, so I'll just add async here, and that should be fine. Okay, now I'll go to the next step here, and so once this is done, then add and begin Flutter plugin. So just click here, and it will give the list of Flutters whatever we can do here. So you can do analytics, app checks, and blah blah blah. So I think what I'll do is to visualize it, whether it's working or not, we'll use something called in real-time database. Okay, so just click here, and I'll be using this real-time database. But before I proceed, let me do one thing. Let me go back here. Okay, so I think more or less all the steps are done here. Only the plugin part is left, which will come shortly. Then I'll continue to console, and if you refresh this, I'm expecting that all the apps will appear here. Yeah, so 5 apps are added. If you just expand this, you'll see Firebase Auth Flutter, the name that we gave for Android, iOS, web, and so on and so forth. So perfect, it looks good. Now for real-time database, you can either click on build, and then real-time database will get here or directly here. And for the first time, if the real-time database is not yet created, it will give you this kind of screen. So just click on create database, and it may take a moment to create. It will ask you to select a region, so you can select whatever is fine for you. I'll leave it default US Central, and then it's asking whether it's which mode, lock mode or test mode. So I think I'll prefer test mode for another, I think 30 days period it gives, so that should be fine. We'll be anyway testing in a day or so, and then close this. So yeah, so again it will take a moment to create the database. Perfect, so the database is created, so you'll see this kind of screen now. So if you go to rules, so this way you should right now it's public, so anyone can use it, so it's not good. You should of course change it, but since this is a test environment, I'm just leaving it as it is for now. And in this database right now is empty, so I'll just create as one sample node, say for example test node, and the value what I'll give it is something like this is a programmer world sample value. Okay, you can play around with this. So it's a string type, and we'll try to fetch this in our Flutter app. Okay, so now let me switch back to Flutter app over here. Now we'll follow the steps for adding the this part, the real-time database part. So okay, so let me follow the steps here. So install Firebase code, I think that part we have done. We have done the this part also, and now create a database. That's what we did right now. We added a real-time database, and to get us started, we selected a test mode instead of lock mode. Okay, so this also says that once click done, then I think we have to follow the steps from here. So add a Firebase database. So just copy this and go back to your environment, and over here I think this step is not required, but still let me do it to be sure. Perfect, so I've done it. So I think it's got added at one dependencies constant to browser whatever. So how you can check is you go to your PubSpec YAML file, and over here, yeah, this is what is added, I guess. So that's good enough. I'll go back to this, and then it's once completed, rebuild the Flutter app. I think I don't need to. If I just open my this should have rebuilt, but it's not rebuilding. Okay, so I'll do one thing. I'll copy this command nevertheless and run it manually to rebuild. Okay, so I'm expecting it to. Okay, so it's asking me to select the environment, and Windows, Chrome, or Edge. So I'll go for Chrome. That's what I'm trying to do over here, and waiting for the connection and blah blah. Okay, so it just started a new instance. I think then we can close this. No, not a problem. And yeah, it looks good. So everything looks good. To hot start for more detail. I think everything looks good now. Yeah. Now as next steps, again I'll go back to my document and over here, so initialize the Firebase database. So import this, so just copy this, go back in the main.dart file on the top itself. We can just import this. It's great because it's not used yet, so we'll anyway shortly use it. And then we can get the instance by clicking over here. And now if I go back here, I think I can just, so if you notice, it has turned to green because it's not being used here, but this is great. So now we have to use this in our code to fetch the data, and it says further steps like secondary database and all. So over here I will, so because anyway the document doesn't say anything more further over here, so I'll just stop it and use my own code here. So I'll switch back to the environment, my IDE, and over here we have got our database reference or instance in this database. So what I'll do is I've written a piece of code, so I'll just paste it over here quickly. Yeah, so this is a piece of the code. So what it will do is it will fetch everything from the test node which we have created in our database. So if I go back here, so this is a test node, so whatever the value we have given here, it will fetch it over here. And once it's fetched, then it will take a snapshot of the database and it will print it right now. But yeah, so let me see if I rerun this, how it happens. So I'll do one thing, I'll just close this for a moment and go back here and try to rerun it in a clone. So let it come back. Okay, so I think I'm getting some error here. So if I scroll up, so it's giving me some error. So I think I know the issue over here. So there are two steps to solve it. First step is we may have to update our this particular file, FirebaseOptions.currentPlatform file. Okay, so what we can do for that is go to terminal again and again run this particular command, flutter fire configure and whatever your project name it is, and follow the steps whatever it gave last time, like the platforms which has to be selected and the particular. Okay, I can do it again here. So if you select here, so if you ask whether do you want to override, just say yes, and it will fetch the Firebase project details here. And if I go back here, so this is the programmable app is a project name. It will fetch. Is asking for which all packages. I'll say yes to all, and make sure again I am repeating this. You give some this one, the package name. Don't leave it blank. And I Control C and Control V, yeah, and then just press enter, and it will then fetch for all these platforms one by one from here. So this particular so it will create all the 5 apps, one for web and all, and here you can see the package name appears over here. So that's why it's required. It's important, although it's not required for web and other apps, but it's required for Android and iOS if you're choosing. Okay, now I'll go to the real-time database. The other few things what I'll have to change over here is most likely rules. I think I've changed to true always. This is not secure, but still for testing environment I've done it for now. And the data, I think I'll have to do a bit of modification here. So instead of test node directly here, I'll do one thing. Wait, I'll just add a test node, and below this test node, I'll add another. Probably I'll add text, and here this is programmer world sample text. Okay. So now we'll be using this test node to fetch our data over here. So this will be a child of our test node over here. Okay, so yeah, I'll just Control C and go back to my Android environment. So this part is also done in the meantime. So this file has been updated with all the latest ones. So that's good. I can minimize this. I can go to my main.dart file over here, and over here I can replace this. I think okay, this looks good now. And now if I run this, I can stop the previous instance and rerun, and let's see if it works or not. So I'm expecting this print data to print something, and what it will print is mostly this part. So let's see if it works. Then we can use this part in updating our app. Perfect. So app has come up, and if I go to the this console, here I can see that what is in database is coming over here. Perfect. So now I'll do some quick changes. I'll shift this complete code so that it appears here in this text box instead of this counter. So let me do that. So steps are very simple for that. I'll do one thing. I'll just cut all this code and go to my method, which is increment counter here, and I'll put it here. For await, I'll have to make it as async, and then that area will go off. And now in this set state, I'll do one thing. I will put it here after print node, and I will I'll change the data type of counter to string and initialize it to not 0 but an empty string, and also I'll make this as equal to, wait, I'll come back to that one shortly. I'll remove this part so that it becomes like it can directly print whatever text I'm getting over here. And over here, Control C, Control V, dot. No, I don't think I need a dot here, so I'll do one thing. I will just change it to text, yeah. And so things I think looks good. If I go back here, it will do a hot restart. And if I click here, perfect, this is a programmer word sample text. I can do one thing, initializing it to something like node data initially, so that I know that the text has been initialized correctly. So if I rerun, so it says initially no data, and if I click on this sign, so that time it will go and fetch the data from my database, which is this one. And I'll just remove the last full stop, somehow I'm not liking that. And if I go back here, and of course I'll have to rerun it, hot reload. And if I click here, this is programmer world sample text. Perfect. So, yeah, so that's all I wanted to show you in this video, that how you can connect to the Firebase database to your Flutter app. So steps are more or less straightforward given in this. When you create a new Flutter app, the steps will be given. Just follow that one by one. So for the steps here, do next all these steps, and it will include a file called FirebaseOptions.current file, which contains all the authorization related to all your platforms. I'll not scroll below because it has my API keys and all. Yeah, but otherwise it will include for everything. And then in the main.dart file, you can have a short code like this. What I will give this in my description below, of course, and you can use this to fetch the data from your database. So that's all. I hope this video is useful to you. If you have any questions or suggestions, then please put it in the comment section below. And if you like this video, then please subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.